Spring ball starts this week. Really excited. Been a long time coming. Had some great winter workouts. A lot of new faces, both staff and players, and been a really, really good winter session for us. I think the staff and the players are really excited to get out there tomorrow and get going. So we're looking forward to it. With that said, questions, fire away.
Hey, Coach. Jared with the Daily News here. I'll start off with the traditional Monday morning Zoom question. Clay Davis missed last year with the ACL. Dayton was banged up a little bit at the end of the year. But just overall health of the team heading into the spring, how are you guys looking?
Really good. Going into spring, we have everybody. There's a couple guys that have got a couple, hamstrings or something like that, but they can still get work in, and they might be a little limited. But all the normal key names that you guys are used to asking about, they'll all be out there running around, and everybody's healthy as they should be day one.
Hey, Coach, TylerRaffles.com here. How's the transition been for new coaches coming in, new players you've signed, and how's that adjustment been for them so far?
It's been fantastic. I'm really excited about this staff. Everybody's gelled together extremely well. Whenever you put together a staff and you're evaluating people, you have to ask yourself, okay, how do we get better? How do we take another step? And we definitely took a big step, in my opinion. There's a lot of new faces, a lot that we have to get done during the spring practice sessions, but we're about as good a spot as we can be in right now. I think we got a tremendous staff. I think, the players that we have, we added a lot of new faces, and that a lot of kids are here right now. We've signed 16 so far. 13 out of the 16 are here. You guys will get to see them go through spring practice. We're excited about that. I think our locker room is fantastic. Our team culture is fantastic. So all the things that are really important to make a good football team, they're there. Now we just got to go put it all together on the field during spring and get those pieces to fit the puzzle perfect.
Hey, Coach, this is Hunter Smith with WKU. After missing spring football last year, what are you most looking forward to with spring practice this year?
I tell you, I'm just more than anything getting back on the grass. It was just a weird year last year. There was no normal whatsoever. You didn't know what day, what was going to happen. A lot of landmines out there, I guess you could say, that you were trying to dodge. But now you're back to normalcy. You're back to what you know, and I think that helps your football team a lot. That I've told you guys before. Tuesday's a Tuesday, a Wednesday's a Wednesday, and we finally get to be that again. And so more than anything, just getting back out there and playing football how it's supposed to be played. And our kids are really excited about that.
Coach, Matthew Hargrove here with the College Heights Herald. Obviously, with all the transfers and new coaches, is there a specific position that you're looking forward to seeing maybe improve or just look into the spring?
Yeah, it really all positions, to be honest with you, but the quarterback position is what makes it go. We got some new faces there. Obviously, had the transfer. Bailey Zappi's here. He'll be competing to try to earn a starting spot. So it makes for an exciting time, and it starts with the quarterback. We got to be able to put our guys at position in a lot of situations throughout the spring, see how those guys handle it, let the competition play out. So I think that's really, really big. But we added a lot of depth too. And so there's a lot of older guys, like you said, transfers and those kind of things. And every man knows their job's up for grabs, and nobody has a starting job. You got to go out there and compete and earn a job. I think our guys love that. I think they love competition. They embrace that fact. So it's going to make for a really exciting spring.
Hi, Coach. Jared with the Daily News again. Kind of going off of that, the quarterback, and you mentioned Bailey, obviously new offensive coordinator, and Coach Kitley. I think 3 new receivers that came from Houston Baptist too. Obviously starting practice tomorrow, but how have you seen that kind of just the familiarity with that group help, so far, and what are you expecting out of, specifically that group of people, heading through the spring?
Well, it was really big for us to get those guys in here that know the system. I think that helps a lot going into the spring to have a quarterback that knows the system, to have a couple skilled players that know the system. So we've been able to get a lot done over the winter, with our player run practices that they run. We really feel like from an offensive standpoint and defensively, we're in a good spot. So now when you go out to spring practice, you're really able to coach the finer details. You're not starting from scratch on day one at practice. These guys have been working extremely hard through the winter break to position themselves to now go compete at a high level. So when you go watch our practice, you're not going to be looking at guys, saying, hey, they've ran this play for the first time. I mean, they've been doing it out there on their own for 2 months now. So it's really about the competition piece now and who's going to step up and who's going to win the jobs and all those kind of things. So we're looking forward to that.
To kind of go off of that, I know you said Bailey competing for a starting spot. Piggy was your guy last year, and it looks like he's back on that roster again this year with that extra year. Is that an open competition at this point?
Yeah, and really everything is, and as it should be. You can't feel comfortable ever about your job. I think of our 2 defensive ends. We got 2 good, solid defensive ends, D'Angelo Malone, Juwan Jones. We go sign Michael Pitts. We're probably going to go sign another one in the summer to come compete. So those guys love it. They embrace it. They want it. So really, when you have that situation, it brings out the best in everybody. And I think our players will play at a high level this spring because of that.
Coach
Hunter
go ahead.
Coach Hunter with WBKO. Just who are some of the other transfers that you guys have added in that you're excited to see this spring?
Well, we signed some DBs that I think have a chance to really help us. There'll be some of those new faces out there. Think of a Davion Williams, Miguel. I think you look at Beanie Bishop. He's played here and there a little bit throughout the years, but now it's his opportunity to go win a job. And he's had an exceptional winter. So you got some of the same names that you're used to with the new guys, and really it's just a matter of them battling it out. I think in the linebacker room, we've done a really good job there. You got a Matthew Flint who's coming in, transferred from North Carolina. You get a Will Ignat, who now it's his opportunity to try to go earn a spot. You add Nick Days, who got to play towards the end of the season, who's a really good young player that's trying to develop into a starter. So all those names start to jump out at me. I think there's a good balance there of guys we've had on the roster that are thinking, all right, it's my turn. I got to go win a job. And then we add some of those new faces there, guys that have played at a high level. That are trying to win spots as well. So it'll make for an exciting spring.
Coach Matthew Hargrove here. Talking about those transfers, have you gotten a time to see them other than, their playing days in the fall? Have you gotten time to see them just practicing on their own here lately? Or is the first time going to be seeing them in the spring practices?
Well, the rules don't allow us to go out there with those guys. We are allowed to go out on the field without a ball, do some individual work with them. We're allowed to see them in the weight room work. We're allowed to watch them and, like I said, do some individual drills. But we're really limited on what we can and can't do. And you might get to see them on some of the PRP stuff, but you really – you can't be out there. So, so that's very limited. We've done walkthroughs here and there with them, those kind of things. But so, yeah, from a competition, let's go play football. Here it is, have at it. That'll be a true test of the first time of us watching. But we've been able to make enough evaluations off of their winter workouts, what they're doing, individual drills, their walkthroughs, all those kind of things to know what we're dealing with.
Coach Jared with the Daily News again. Kind of a couple-parter sticking with recruiting. Really a different, I guess, seems like style of recruiting this year than a lot of colleges. Instead of like the traditional high school, you guys went and attacked the transfer portal. I guess what made you go that route, and I guess what differences did you notice throughout the entire process this year? And then in terms of, eligibility, I know they're working on that one-time transfer waiver. I think that's pushed back to April now. I guess, are there any eligibility concerns with some of these guys?
Well, first off, I think when COVID hit, it made my decision in recruiting change a little bit. I've always been a guy that I want to see a player work. I want to be able to work the player. I want to get to know them really well, all those kind of things. And so for our level, at the major Power Fives, you might be recruiting a guy when he's a freshman, sophomore. He's been on your camp. For us, it's more of that. Yeah, you might see him on his late sophomore year. You might, you really, it's not till his junior year that you're really getting to work with that guy. So it kind of changed my mindset of I don't want to sign a player that I haven't been able to physically see and be able to work with during a summer camp and those kind of things. I'm certainly okay with taking a couple of those guys, but I always kind of tell myself, if I'm going to guess wrong, how do I want to be wrong? Well, I want to be wrong watching film on somebody who's played at the college level, where I can pick up the phone, talk to somebody that I know, and I can get an honest opinion about that person. I think we hit a unique year, to be honest with you. We were a older football team, and we had a lot of younger players, and we had a gap there. Some of those sophomore, juniors, we were heavy on the older guys and heavy on the younger guys, and so I needed to fill in some in between there with our years, if that makes sense. So it kind of was the perfect storm of, you have a COVID year, you can't go see a lot of high school guys. We need to get some older guys in here. I felt like with the transfer portal, like I've told you guys, I've embraced that. I think it's a two-way street. I think so long as you're open and clear and have communication with your players and vice versa with you, you can make plans and you can start to know what's going to happen. And I think we did a fantastic job of everybody being on the same page. There was players I knew that weren't going to be with us after the bowl game. That was okay. Wanted to help those guys and accomplish what they want to accomplish. At the same time, we knew what our needs were going to be. We got to be able to fill those needs immediately. So I think we're in a really good spot. I really like the game plan that we have right now. Still got some scholarships left. We're going to continue to evaluate some guys. We may sign a high school guy or two, even late, but probably going to be more transfers this time around. As we get into the 2022 class, though, if we can get out recruiting, it's still dead until May 30th. If we can get out recruiting during the season, get back to a normal recruiting calendar, I'd like to find that balance again. I think we've now positioned ourselves where you have guys that are seniors, juniors, sophomore, freshmen. You've got the balance. Now let's go build again for the future. Who knows? I can't tell you what I would be if I signed 25 guys in the 2022 class. If you said take a guess, I'd say 50-50. 50% high school guys, 50% transfer guys. I think it's the way college recruiting is going to be honest with you, particularly at our level. I think we're able to sign a quality player that we may not get on the front end, and I think it's important for us to develop relationships with high school kids because you don't know when you're going to get them now. I mean, back of my mind, I may be recruiting a kid. I know he's going to a Power 5 school, but in my mind, I'll say, hey, I'll see you in 2 years. And so I'm trying to build that relationship with that kid so that if it doesn't work out for him at a place, he goes, hey, I really liked Western Kentucky. I liked how they recruited me. I like what they do there. So it's an easy decision for him. So I'm not fighting a battle right out of the gate with somebody that didn't know me up front. So there's been a lot of thinking ahead here that I think can benefit us down the stretch.
We've talked a lot about offense and defense, but special teams on the roster, there's still Braden, there's still Corey, there's still John Haggerty, Matt Baldick, a lot of guys back, I guess, heading into the spring. What's the goal for that group of kids?
Well, I think we got a really strong group there. Two of the better guys in college football, in my opinion. John Haggerty is a very good punter. I'll be honest with you, he dealt with some injuries last year. In his mind, he didn't have as good a year as he wanted to have. He wants to come back, wants to put together a really good last year. So really excited that he's back with us. You look at Narveson, he was fantastic. A guy came in, handled all our field goal duties, was extremely consistent. Now he's trying to say, how do I get even better? So we got to get him back to where he was in his groove. Corey Munson, is still with us. He's been fantastic as well. We'll let those guys compete in the spring. Like I said, every job's open. So, it's not Narvison's job just because he, was the guy last year. Corey can go win it again. But Corey did a really good job with the kickoff duties. And so I think we got a really good, solid group there that when we go into games, we're really happy with our kicking specialists.